They're asking me to go to the Middle East soon.
What? What? Where? Why?
Saudi Arabia and UAE or Dubai. I think I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, for the Saudi princess.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Yeah, you should do it." Everyone's doing it. It's like, for Saudis?
Yeah.
Weren't they just the 9/11 guys?
So I thought.
Aren't they exactly the 9/11 guys?
I don't know if you've heard much about this Riyadh comedy festival, and it just happened, and a bunch of wildly famous comedians, played there, and it was one of the big news items in entertainment, right? And so there was kind of a debate that you saw after the fact where you saw a bunch of comedians calling people out and saying like, "How dare you support the Saudis?" and da 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 da, A bunch of comedians on moral high horses. Like they're the fucking arbiters of morality. So right off the bat, you have this premise that is just kind of fundamentally flawed, right? Where it's comedians, proclaiming some kind of moral high ground. And listen, I love comedy more than anyone. I love comedians, but they don't get to act like there's some kind of moral authority. They're like, it's like actors trying to be like, "Oh, if you don't vote for this, democracy." But what's interesting to note is the comedians that are kind of making the most noise about how terrible this is or grandstanding the most are guys who are largely or have been largely irrelevant in recent years, like Mark Maron and David Cross. And I think, not to disrespect either of these guys because they have done funny stuff. But Mark Maron, for example, he's been in the press a lot lately, and it's so obvious that he's bitter at the Rogan people for like taking podcasting to the level that it's gotten to when he was one of the first people in the mix. If you remember, he had the WTF podcast, which was like out of his garage, and it was like a big deal. Everyone was like, and he had Obama on it. He had Obama, #1 drone strike guy, on his podcast. So spare me the morality, Mark Maron. You had Obama on your podcast, the guy who drone bombed weddings. But let's get into, I think Nerdrotic is a good blend of entertainment and political commentary. That said, he definitely leans a little further right than I would on some things, which I'm not going to, fault him for, but I think he's right in general about most of his takes. And he has like a pretty large, he's one of those guys too, like kind of like Tim Pool, where he has a panel with a lot of different people on it. So you're not just getting his opinion from the show, which is good. But let me start by showing you here this kind of, they did a really good breakdown, top high level view of this for those of you who haven't really followed this particular subject matter.
Thing, other than a couple things, which was basically, religion, don't make fun of the royals. Everyone was happy. The people that were doing the festival were thrilled. It was a mind-blowing experience. Definitely top 3 experiences I've ever had. And it was great to experience that part of the world and to be a part of the first comedy festival over there in Saudi Arabia. I think it's going to lead to a lot of positive things.
I love that shit. It's what makes human beings hilarious. I'm one of the biggest hypocrites you're ever going to fucking meet in your life.
Meanwhile,
They're asking me to go to the Middle East soon.
What? What? Where? Why?
Saudi Arabia and UAE or Dubai. I think I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, for the Saudi princess.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Yeah, you should do it." Everyone's doing it. It's like, for Saudis?
Yeah.
Weren't they just the 9/11 guys?
So I thought.
Aren't they exactly the 9/11 guys?
So here you have, so this is the kind of the nuance of this debate, right? Here you have, and these guys clearly hate Bill Burr, which we'll get deeper into in a minute. But here you have these kind of the Mark Maron and the kind of David Cross people who are outraged and on this like moral high horse. And then Shane Gillis, who's kind of like a little bit less of that type. I wouldn't put him anywhere near the same category as Mark Maron and David Cross because he's successful. Like he's a guy who has so much cash right now. He doesn't need the Saudi money. So he can take a principled stand. You know what I mean? But it's a safe bet that if he didn't have a successful Netflix show like Tires and he wasn't like selling out arenas right now, Like Chris Tucker was one of the guys on the roster. Like, when's the last time Chris Tucker did anything? They probably threw $1 million at Chris Tucker to have him come play in Saudi Arabia. You think he's going to turn that down? Would you turn that down? You know, I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest here. So, in this next bit, these guys from Nerdrotic, they kind of call out the comedians that they disagree with.
So I just wanted to point out a couple, because honestly, if you want to go to Saudi Arabia and do some comedy, I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit. But if you're a virtue signaling whore like Bill Burr and or Whitney Cummings, who will go whichever way the wind blows.
Oh, fuck
fucking
that, Ben.
phony ass. Both Bill Burr and Whitney Cummings have done woke comedy, calling out misogyny and America being a slavery state and all that bullshit. And then you go to Saudi Arabia, get fucked.
When you called out.
Now, okay, I don't know if that's necessarily hypocrisy. It's a good way to call them out because you disagree with their politics, but like, if you have that kind of a message, you know, hey, you know, misogyny is bad and more rights for women, whatever, wouldn't you think like performing for a Saudi Arabian audience would be a good place to, you know, amplify that message, especially if they're saying, you know, they're letting these people say what they want. They just can't criticize the royals and the government in Saudi Arabia. Now, I'm sure there's ways around that. But anyway, let me.
Riyadh Comedy Festival, a comedy festival in Saudi Arabia.
this is
fucking
almost a contradiction in terms.
Dave Chappelle. Now, am I mad at Dave Chappelle for going? Not really.
No, Dave Chappelle rips everybody.
Okay, so it's Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, Aziz Ansari, Pete Davidson. Okay, so he's getting some criticism because his dad died in 9/11.
I know he's going back to where it all began.
Andrew Schultz, Joe Coy, Bill Burr. Now, Bill Burr comes off as like this righteous asshole, virtue signaling, phony piece of shit, pretends to be edgy. It's about as edgy as a butter knife.
His wife's an activist.
Completely cucked to his wife. That's what everybody says.
Oh, look at these sweet little fucking ice creams. It's like my husband's dick. Small but sweet. Here I am walking out. This is me looking all glamorous. Where am I in this? Any of this shit? Oh, more stuff Nia wanted to do. Look at me. Look at the sadness in my eyes.
Jessica Kirschen.
Okay, I mean, I think that's kind of unfair. He's just being, he's married, so he's, you know, he's got to listen to the wife.
Jimmy Carr is a pretty good comedian. Louis C.K., Sebastian Maniscalco.
Sebastian Maniscalco.
Maz Jabroni. Whitney Cummings. Whitney Cummings is such a fucking phony, man.
Pop, 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 crack, crack, pop. Daddy, 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 daddy. They don't deserve to see this V-neck and this dick. I'm on the moon. Star! No! I feel like that was good. Shut the fuck up.
There's always going to be this.
I 100% ran this clip because of that little mashup that they did, that little highlight reel. Say what you want about Whitney Cummings. I'm not like the hugest fan or anything, but I don't think she's terrible either. I think these guys are a little unfairly angry at Whitney Cummings for, like, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. But this is the whole point of me showing you this footage, is this Tim Dillon clip right here. So let me back it up just a little bit, because you got to hear what Tim Dillon says here, because it's very on point. Listen to what he said.
There's always going to be this unspoken thing between old Hollywood and young Hollywood, and that's what's happening here.
And I'm old Hollywood.
Yeah, you're a legend.
By the way, you're not any Hollywood. You're young internet.
Young
You've never been Hollywood.
But that is Hollywood.
No,
now.
it's young internet.
No, but that is
Hollywood
now.
still exists.
No, no one
Yes.
cares about your friends like Sandra Bullock. No one cares about them.
The thing where she wore the blindfold in the canoe got 50 million
What
views
was that,
more than
4 years ago?
I'm just saying.
Bird Box? You're bringing up Bird Box?
Oh, God.
So that was really good. I thought that was relevant to the conversation. So these guys, obviously, they really hate on Whitney Cummings, but now they're going to get into the outrage from David Cross and Mark Maron, which is, you know, why I signed up for this ride.
Getting anywhere from 300,000 to 1.5 million for the show. So that's a lot of chitty cheddar. Bill Burr and Chappelle don't need it. Whitney Cummings probably does for plastic surgery. David Cross slams Bill Burr and more comedians performing at the Riyadh Comedy
It's always taking shots at Whitney Cummings.
Film Festival. I'm disgusted. How can any of us take you seriously again? Now, I'm going to call out David Cross because I'm going to guess that a few of the comedians calling out the other comedians are just pissed they weren't invited.
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
So this is exactly what I thought when I heard this story. I'm like, oh, he's just mad that he didn't, because it's like the who's who of comedy, right? With the exception of a few people who kind of made the list. But I'm sure they were offered tons of money. And again, they're like, fuck your virtues when you get offered a check like that, which is not to make the comparison to a certain lobby which controls our Congress, but you get the idea. Money can be a very good motivator. Anyway, let me let these guys finish. I'm going to let you finish.
I'm really happy for you. I'm going to let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
Let's be fucking real. Knowing what I know of stand-up comedians, and I used to hang out with them in San Francisco. We used to do comics versus comics in my shop. So we do stand-up comedy in my stand-up comedia in my shop, chlamydia. Yeah, they're a bunch of backstabbing motherfuckers. So I think they're pissed off because they're going, but I'll just break out the popcorn and enjoy this. Comedian David Cross released a fiery statement. I'm glad he released a statement on his website Monday, condemning the comedians who agreed to perform at Saudi Arabia's Riyadh Comedy Film Festival. I'm disgusted and deeply disappointed in the whole gross thing. Okay, you're saying gross. Like women can say gross. Unironically, men cannot. That's a rule.
Oh, come on. Who made you guys the language police? You don't get to decide what language is gay and what's not.
You understand that, right, guys?
I do not.
The people I admire with unarguable talent would condone this totalitarian fiefdom for what? A fourth house? A boat? More sneakers?
Totalitarian fiefdom. Okay, fiefdom. Again, these are people who supported the Biden administration and the pandemic regime and all this stuff. And now they want to preen about supporting authoritarian regimes. It's crazy. It's the same thing, I said about the Ukraine war when people are like, oh, Putin is a vicious dictator. And it's like, bro, we fucking support Saudi Arabia. Every president kisses the hand of the sheik and walks down the fucking aisle with them and does a photo op with Saudi Arabia. And look, you could argue our influence on them has been good. Now they let women drive. They didn't let that happen a couple of years ago. So we're getting to a point with all this, but let me let these guys keep going.
Yes.
Yes. He continued, we can never again take seriously anything these comedians complain about unless it's complaining that we don't support enough torture and mass executions of journalists and LGBTQ peace activists.
Okay, I just want to pause there for just a little bit of thought-provoking material here, but we can never take seriously anything. Isn't the whole point of a comedian not to be taken seriously? They're joking. Like, we could never take them seriously again. As comedians, we could never take them seriously. Yeah, they're joking. We're not supposed to be taking them seriously. So I think that might be a poor choice of words on David Cross's part.
Here in the States.
It's fucking fuck off, mate.
I'm signaling. I'm one of you guys. Look at me. I'm a good man.
He would have been there in a heartbeat if they asked him.
And terrorize enough Americans by flying planes into our buildings.
Come on, everyone knows that was the Jewish Chinese people.
I thought it was the Mosh.
What?
You need to get off Twitter.
I concur. I don't know about this Riyadh Comedy Festival, but I can't wait to hear what David Cross has to say about it. So, who really cares what he thinks? But Mark Maron, same thing. He put out this angry rant recently about how stupid Theo Von was, and it just, as soon as I saw or heard it, he's like, Theo Von's a dumb redneck and dirt. I'm like, bro, this guy is fucking bitterly jealous that Theo Von has such a massive audience and he does not anymore. And like the Rogan sphere guys took over his stupid podcast space, and Rogan and his clique are kind of like the new kings of media. You have to admit that, whether you like it or not. The podcasting thing, yeah, sure, Mark Maron was in the game heavy before Joe Rogan, but he didn't do a good enough job that it mattered, clearly, because there's something about Joe Rogan's podcast that made it massively more successful than anything that Mark Maron never did on WTF. He interviewed Obama, you guys. Doesn't that excite you?
Actually don't. The Mr. Showstar isn't the first comedian to take issue with the Riyadh Comedy Festival. Mark Moron recently took to his What the Fuck podcast to slam participating those at event. Now, this is a dude who's pissed that he didn't get invited. I promise you. I mean,
yeah. See, that's why I love this guy's commentary, because it totally, as soon as I heard it, I went, oh, wow. They're speaking for me on this one. This guy is totally upset he didn't make the cut. He didn't get the call from the Saudis, because if he did, he would be there. Again, Shane Gillis, I think, has the luxury of saying yes and no to stuff right now, where someone like Maz Jobrani probably does not. Dave Chappelle, we'll get into why Dave Chappelle gets a pass here in just a second, but let me let this finish.
How do you promote it? From the folks that brought you 9/11, 2 weeks of laughter in the desert. Don't miss it. I mean, the same guy that's going to pay them is the same guy that paid the guy to bone saw Jamal Khashoggi and put him in a fucking suitcase. But don't let that stop the yucks. It's going to be a good time. Shane Gillis also disavowed, who I like, the festival, saying on his...
Okay, so again, I just want to make this point. Mark Maron, fuck you, dude. You had Obama on your podcast. Let's remember that meme that's like, Obama gave 90% of his earnings to charity. Google Obama 90% to find out more. Here's what happens when you Google Obama 90%. Have you ever seen? You've probably seen this, but U.S. deadly drone strikes. The assassination complex, Obama's final drone strike data. Of the 542 drone strikes that Obama authorized, killed an estimated 3,979 people, including 324 civilians. So, this guy's upset about Jamal Khashoggi, which is a deeper story just than he worked over at the Washington Post, of course. But also, selective outrage.
That he turned down an invitation and a significant bag for appearance fee.
I took a principled stand.
Yeah, you don't 9/11 your friends, bro.
Don't 9/11 your friends.
You don't.
The principled stand.
You don't drone strike your friends, Mark Maron. You fucking hypocrite, like jealous hypocrite. Oh my God. So ironically, or maybe not ironically, the voice of reason in all of this was Louis C.K., who was on Bill Maher's show. Everything Louis has to say here is kind of just on point. He doesn't miss a note with this. Listen to this.
You're part of this big festival over there.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
What do you think about the fact that we have a schism here in the comedy community? Now, I'm going to throw my cards on the table here.
Sure.
I have mixed feelings about this, but I basically think it's a great idea to go anywhere.
Yeah, the schism is between people who are jealous that they didn't get invited and people who got invited.
Like that. Because purists bug me because they think change has to happen overnight. Change doesn't ever happen overnight.
No.
There are restrictions on what you can say because this is the first time.
Yeah.
But somebody has to go the first time and do your act. You're not allowed to talk about religion or the royals. Well, royals is the government and religion. Without that, I would have no act.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I still think people who are doing it are brave, and it's apparently the ones over there are enjoying it.
Yes, they're all. When I'm talking to other comedians that have been there, and they've been really surprised by what's going on. There is a woman who's a lesbian and Jewish who did a show there, and she got a standing ovation. And so there's stuff going on that's unexpected in this thing.
So yeah, and if you're a clever comedian, you can work within the boundaries they give you and like subversively insert jokes that still poke fun at the empire or the, you know, the royals or the religion or whatever, or Muslims. You can do that cleverly and creatively with comedy. That's one of the beautiful things about it as an art form. But let Louis finish.
And people have been playing Saudi Arabia for years. Like comedians have been going and playing Arab countries. There was a film festival there recently. Like it's kind of opened up, but I've always said no to Arab countries doing. I do shows everywhere. Like this show, I'm playing in India, I'm playing in Turkey, I'm playing in Bangkok, Hong Kong, all over the world this year. And when this came up, they said there's only two restrictions. It's their religion and their government. And I don't have jokes about those two things. It used to be when I got offers from places like that, there'd be a long list, and I just say no, I don't need that. But when I heard it's opening, I thought that's awfully interesting. That just feels like a good opportunity. And I just think comedy is a great way to get in and start talking. And there's Saudi Arabian comedians there. And I'm going to a comedy club in Saudi Arabia the first night I get there to just see what's going on. I love stand-up comedy and I love comedians. So the fact that that's opening up and starting to bud, I want to see it. I want to be part of it. I think that's a positive.
I think so too.
Yeah, I just want to take a quick sidebar here before they talk about Chappelle. But when I was a kid, and this is dating myself, but the Berlin, if you're my age, you probably have vague memories of this or older. When the Berlin Wall fell, when the Russian, the Soviet Union crumbled and the Berlin Wall fell, there was a real honest effort to like Americanize Russians, or at least get our ideas more into the country and be like, hey, yes, look how cool America can be at the time. Very different time now than. No disrespect, anyway, point being is we should have that attitude with a country like Saudi Arabia, as they modernize, we should be there to help them evolve, and anyway, let me let them finish because this is where they talk about Chappelle. And I think Louis made some really good points here that I was kind of unaware of.
Yeah, said it was in the press today saying that you can speak more freely over here than in America.
I don't know if that's true.
Oh, it's not true. Do your hunk on Muhammad, Dave.
Yeah. Well, he's a Muslim, David.
I understand.
So it depends on who you are and what you want to talk about. Now, if you go there, there's a there's a thing you buy into. Do you want to work here? Then don't talk about these two things. Yeah. Other than that, my act is pretty offensive to most people. So it's going to be interesting to see how that feels. To me, that's just an opportunity.
Your act is not offensive. It's edgy.
Yeah, it's offensive.
You wouldn't be nearly as popular as you are.
No, definitely. It's worthy. Look, yes. I think the whole discussion is worthy. I'm glad these guys brought this stuff up. I'm glad that people are challenging this thing because you shouldn't just pretend it's something it's not.
Right.
So don't fool yourself. I'm grateful to the comics that brought it up, like David Cross and Mark Maron. It's funny because David and I were roommates when we were 19 years old. We lived together in Boston.
Wow.
And we were just scrappy young guys. And Mark was there too. He was a dishwasher at a place called the Coffee Connection. And we were just kids trying to be comics in Boston. David had this bit about shaving the Pope's pussy. That was one of his bits. This is the and I just loved him because he was so, And then later, David Cross wrote an open letter to Larry the Cable Guy telling him to quit comedy. You can look that up because he hated him. So he's an opinionated guy. These guys were my friends. I used to hang out with them constantly. And what brought us together was that we were comedians and we loved comedy.
And they're on the other side of the divide.
Yeah, they're on the other side of the debate. I think we've drifted as friends and I miss them, but it's just funny to me. Today I was thinking about that all this crazy thing going on, it's those two guys. And then I walked by a car that didn't have a driver and I was like, it's the future now. And life is so weird that my roommate and I are in this.
That's such a great point he's making. It's the future now. Like things have changed. Things can change. Things are continually changing.
It's weird, you know what I mean? But I'm grateful for what he said because you should say that side too. I think everything that's being said about that's a worthy discussion. When are you appeasing? When are you engaging? And I have mixed feelings about it too. I struggled about going once I started hearing what everyone was saying.
No, you're doing the right thing.
But I don't know.
Yeah, it's easy to say that. It's easy to say that. But I thought Louis made a lot of really great points there. Including the bit about Dave Chappelle being a Muslim. So, of course, he being a Muslim has a different perspective than other people. Like he's already, because of his faith, not going to insult the prophet or, whatever the Muslim rules are. And whether you support it or not, I think there's some valid points to be made on both sides of the issue. And I liked Louis' take overall, just that, hey, look, both sides need to be discussed, because it is what it is. You are supporting to some degree an authoritarian regime. There's no doubt about it. But then again, this is what I want to close with on this. We need to grow the fuck up as a country. I was thinking about this the other day as I was seeing people raging in conservative spaces, raging against pot legalization. Grow the fuck up. It's not going to go away. Legalize it. It's just like prostitution. Prostitution has been around since Bible times. Don't be a fucking adult, and you don't have to like it, but acknowledge that it's not going to go away. Make it legal. Don't create this weird fucking dynamic around it, and get on with your life. The fact that pot has become a legal thing is a good thing for so many ways in society. And anyway, point being, the same thing with this. It's like, grow the fuck up. Oh, it's an authoritarian regime. Yeah, Mark Maron, you had Obama on your show who fucking drone striked weddings. That's fucking ugly and gross too. So these guys who like pretend that they're on this moral fucking high, especially with comedy, you're a fucking comedian. Don't shake your finger at me, you cunt. Like, you're a goddamn comedian. Your whole life is built around, offending people and not being taken seriously. Don't expect me to take your stupid moral fucking high ground shit seriously, David Cross and Mark Maron. Stay in your goddamn lanes, you fucking pathetic bitches.